Hi, and welcome to this presentation on the student introduction piece for your portfolio. To get started, let's talk a little bit about what the student introduction is. And plain and simple, it introduces the contents of your entire portfolio. So for each essay, you have an introduction in what we would call those learning statements. So each essay that you wrote this semester and your extra inclusions will have a learning statement introducing that essay. The student introduction introduces the entire portfolio. And in order to do that, we are going to have, in that second bullet, mentions a sustained metaphor or a theme that's going to unify the entire portfolio. So instead of having, 5 or 6 essays that are kind of fragmented and about all different kinds of things, in this student introduction, we're going to come up with a theme or a metaphor that's going to unite everything. So instead of having it be real fragmented, it's going to have one unifying theme or metaphor. Before we talk about that theme or that metaphor, let's talk about some of the requirements. Now, what most people choose to do is they go through each of these bullets in a paragraph or two, and you can kind of decide the length of these things, but a lot of times a paragraph is sufficient. So bullet number one, introduce yourself in a short paragraph. So who you are, what you're at NICC to do, what your program is, what you plan to do in the future, anything that you want to tell me and anybody who reads this portfolio about you is a good thing. Bullet number two, you want to introduce your portfolio's main theme or metaphor in about a paragraph. We'll talk about it in the next slide, but some of the questions you might want to answer is, why did you choose that theme? How does it fit this semester? Those kind of questions. Third bullet. This is the part of the meat, I guess, of the student introduction. Each paper that's found in your portfolio that you wrote this semester or your personal inclusions needs to be mentioned in the student introduction. And what you're going to do is include each of those essays in a short paragraph. So you're going to write about them in one short paragraph per essay. So if you have 7 essays in your portfolio, you're going to have 7 paragraphs for this part. If you have 5 essays, you're going to have 5 paragraphs for this part. And what you do in each of those short paragraphs is you tell us what kind of essay it is, what it's about, and how it fits your theme. So again, you're going to include the paper, what it's about, and how it fits your theme. So that's going to be the bulk of your essay. Then lastly, you're going to end with a paragraph that leaves the reader ready to jump right into your portfolio. So they've read the introduction, which is first, talks about your theme, talks about all of your essays, talks about who you are. So you want to leave them with, hey, hope you're excited to continue reading my portfolio. And that paragraph, like most conclusions, can be pretty short. It doesn't have to be, 5 to 7 sentences in length. Last 2 bullets. Usually your student introduction is about 1.5 pages to 2 pages in length. If you do all of those paragraphs for the essays, you introduce yourself and your theme, and then you end with a conclusion, usually ends up being about 1.5 pages to 2 pages. Can be longer. Don't know that I would go much shorter than 1.5 pages. If you have questions about that, definitely get in contact with me so that I can help you kind of set things up. Your pages will count towards the final page count. So when you're writing this, and you have that number at the end that you need to get to, these pages for the portfolio intro will count towards your final page count. All right, so let's talk about the theme or the metaphor. Reason for doing a theme or metaphor, it allows for creativity, unifies everything, and it's a way for you to kind of showcase your personality. With that last item being said about your personality, you want to choose a metaphor that in some way connects to who you are and that can be split into parts. Meaning, I'm going to choose something that's representative of me and this semester in Comp 1. Sky's the limit for creativity here. So you could choose to write about, or your theme could be your favorite sandwich. And each essay could be a different part of that sandwich. You could choose your jewelry box, and a different piece of jewelry is representative of each essay this semester. You could pick a candy dish that has just your favorites in it and talk, or your least favorites maybe, and talk about how those pieces of candy fit this semester in each of your essays. People have chosen holidays. Maybe each holiday represents an essay, or maybe you choose a holiday like Christmas and you parcel out Christmas into 6 different parts. People have chosen cars. They have chosen different theme parks. They've chosen, vacation spots. They've chosen their senior year or members of their family. So again, really be creative in what you're choosing for your metaphor or your theme. So again, in a paragraph, at the beginning of your portfolio, you're going to explain what your theme is and why you chose it. Then for each of the essays, you're going to, in a paragraph, talk about the essay, what kind of essay it is, what it's about, and how it fits to your theme. Now, this connection to your theme is what's talked about in the 3rd bullet. Your papers, you can tie these papers to your theme in lots of different ways. I've given you 4 ways. There are many others. Think about the essay and think about your topic or your theme, and then try to make a connection. The common ones are here, but it doesn't mean that this is an exhaustive list by any means. So number 1, you could have a content connection. Now I'm going to use the example of the movie Aladdin because it's one of my favorites. And so I'm going to tie each of my papers to a character in the movie Aladdin. So for a content connection, maybe I wrote an essay titled My 3 Wishes, and so this essay is going to tie to the genie because he also grants 3 wishes. So I'm going to talk about how this essay, what it's about, and how it ties to the genie. Now I need to write more than what's just here. This is just kind of an example to show you. So I'm going to have to go into more detail about how it's like the genie. So content connection is one way I can connect. The second way I can connect maybe is the writing process connection. So I think about the writing process. I think about how it went to write whatever essay it is that I'm talking about. And I'm going to say that for this essay, it took me a really long time. I remember it being really brutal. My theme is still Aladdin. And I'm going to tie this essay to the character of Aladdin because it took him a long time to get to Jasmine. And so because my drafting process took a long time, I'm going to make some connections. And maybe I talk about why it was so hard to draft. Maybe it was because my life was really busy, or maybe it was because I couldn't think about something. But I'm going to go into more detail about why the drafting process took forever. I could have a grade connection. So again, my theme is still Aladdin. I really liked the character of Abu because he was funny. He was just my favorite. A lot of things about Abu I like. And so my narrative essay is my Abu essay because it received the best grade. I had a smile on my face when I got my essay back because it was something I was really proud of and I was happy about, etc., etc. Make some connections there. Last bullet talks about other connections. So I could talk about the feeling that I get from the writing or that I had while writing it. I could talk about the topic. So maybe I wrote about something that was really hard, or I didn't really like writing about it. It was tough, but at the end I felt better after I did it. I could talk about the process that it took me to get to that point. So really the sky's the limit in terms of other connections. This example, again, my theme is still Aladdin. My least favorite character in the movie was Jafar, and so my descriptive essay is the Jafar essay because it was the least favorite for me to write. Or, you can make lots of connections, positive, negative, etc. If you have any questions about that part or coming up with a theme, don't hesitate to reach out and to make a connection. This last slide then also talks about the theme or the metaphor again, and it was mentioned maybe in the learning statement that you're going to have to tie this theme into each learning statement. And here's the slide about doing that. So once I've chosen my theme and I've chosen my connections, so I'm going to go back to my 3 wishes paragraph, or my essay about 3 wishes, tied it to my genie paragraph, or the genie character. Now what I do is I go to my learning statement, that I wrote about my 3 wishes. I'm going to go up to the very top. I'm going to title it Genie Essay. This learning statement's titled Genie Essay. And in 1 to 2 sentences, I say, this essay titled My 3 Wishes is my Genie Essay because just as the genie makes 3 wishes, I imagine what it would be like to have 3 wishes of my own. So you make a real quick connection just to kind of remind readers of how this essay fits in your whole theme or your whole metaphor. All right, again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'd be more than happy to help.